sport the Jinx, the first pick. It's been incredibly standard at this stage. I feel like the Jinx is the priority over Aphelios these days. That does seem to be the one everyone wants to go for. And the Aphelios is kind of the answer, right? The Aphelios is the one that people go as the second fiddle to Jinx.
And the exciting thing is that at the start of the season, we saw these long-range range escalation comps, the Corgis and the Jinx, play out because teams weren't coordinated enough to do anything except front to back in the midsection, and then so Jinx Corki comps would always win. But now we're seeing teams have a lot of success with bruisers, with heavy side laning. We're seeing better coordination, better map play coming out, and so Jinx doesn't always win. We actually saw Jinx lose the first game of the night last game. So doesn't spell the nail in the coffin for BLG just because JDG have selected that pick.
Certainly doesn't. It's Poppy being locked right now, which would be very early on in the draft to lock in a Poppy with only one champion on the enemy team that has any kind of movement. Definitely would be an interesting lock-in, but it's going to be the Viktor. And I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a support, but maybe you need to go for a jungle pick here just because BLG already have theirs. You don't want to get everything banned away.
Yagao has looked very impressive on the Viktor in general, right? That's one of the picks that he's really gravitated towards this season and plays pretty well in side lanes. So instead they're just going to prioritize the Leona because the Leona, on the other hand, has been the one to win every game of the series so far.
Yes, and missing Leona, definitely, I would say it's probably his most played champion off the top of my head, but certainly a highlight champion for him. Let's see him locking that one in, having a bit of support for Hope. But again, the jungle are not locked in there for JDG, so an opportunity now for BLG to try and pinch that jungle pool a little bit. They already got the Viego for themselves, and now they can guarantee that they have a good matchup for WeiWei in the jungle, if they so wish, but might want to focus bans on the solo lanes as well, because remember, it's all about that top lane. They do have counterpick for BLG, so perhaps not a concern.
The BLG, I mean, typically they've been wanting to ban top lines on 4-5, save their top lane pick for the last counter. So just comfortable picks that aren't going to be too easy to counter overall. Also picks that maybe the enemy team is known for. So Lee Sin taken off the table. Lee Sin has some good ability to answer the Viego in the early skirmishes. So not necessarily a pick that you want to go through if you're optimizing for your jungle matchup.
And I was going to say, you know, Kanavi known for his Lee Sin to an extent, but every jungler in the LPL is kind of known for their Lee Sin. It's just an LPL champion, which is kind of a weird thing to say because there are some insane Lee Sins elsewhere in the world as well. I'm not trying to take away from other regions, but it's like, it's a requirement to be a jungler in the LPL. You have to be insane on Lee Sin. The Zin's out going to be banned away as well. That's Zoe being respect banned from FoFo, which, you know, I can understand that because Yagao, he's a good Zoe himself, playing on that Viktor, doesn't want to deal with the matchup. And LeBlanc as well banned off the board.
And I don't necessarily like these LeBlanc, especially in Viktor, but it's a matchup that FoFo has already had particularly good games with this season. And the Zoe as well, just providing that long range into your Viktor composition, the poke out, the catch out. So he's just going to go back to the Orianna Viktor matchup. Not the most exciting, but are we getting another Sejuani? That's the question. And this is the first time in the 4-5 that 369's Kennen, I think over 60% win rate this season, is unbanned, but instead he opts for the Sion.
It feels like 369 has changed his style coming into this series, right? Moving away from, like, Gragas has been open every game, the Kennen has been open in this draft, but 369 not going towards just those comfort picks, going towards something that's going to help the team, playing a tank this time, as Sion for the big front line here. And this is the most standard, I would say, draft that we've had in the series, where we do have just front to back on both sides. But with that said, Breathe, bringing out his Fiora. This is an absolute classic for Breathe. This is one of the picks that really Breathe made his name on. So exciting to see him lock that one in, especially in a matchup that is really brutal for the Sion, right? This Fiora is going to be able to have a whale of a time up in that top side. And Breathe, an exceptional pilot to be able to bring that matchup out.
And if you're paying attention to the narrative of the series, we came in talking about 369 being the guy who's going to bring the range top laner, who's going to bring the counter pick. He's the one who blinded the Sion this game. And Breathe is the one who's taking the Fiora. this is a little bit of a reversal of roles that's coming out over the course of the series. And maybe we'll see Breathe be the one who gets a lot of top lane attention here, where they try to leave 369 on the island and snowball bot lane instead.
Yeah, we've got to look towards that bottom lane as well, because even without jungle attention, we saw a 2v2 in that bottom side last game. Whether or not that can happen again, we'll have to wait and see. BLG falling behind in their lanes last time around, but now they're on the red side. The advantage in that top lane. FoFo with the comfort of the Orianna. Let's see if the bottom lane can do as good of a job as they've done previously, because game number 2, it was all about JDG in that bottom lane. Hope and missing, making it happen.
And the post-level 3 agency of the Leona in this matchup, starting to win lane at this point. It would make a lot of sense if JDG suddenly changed their approach and focus way more around the bottom side of the map. But we're still seeing some attention from the supports to go around top lane, trying to give 369 an easier laning phase by dropping a laning ward. So making it more difficult for Breathe to get advance in that brush and flank Sion behind with a cheeky vital proc.
Yeah, it does make it ever so slightly harder for Breathe, although in the grand scheme of things, still a very comfortable matchup for him. We'll see how that's... We'll see whether the ward is going to be able to influence that too much, but I'm definitely leaning the way of Breathe up in that top side. But once again, we do have to return to talking about these junglers, right? Kanavi, first off, on an absolute comfort pick. When you think back to 2020, Kanavi, this guy that everyone was heralding as one of the best junglers in the world, well, it was Kindred, Graves. These were two of the big picks that we saw from him all the time. I mean, Graves was just exceptionally strong at the time anyway, but Kanavi, incredibly good on these power-clearing junglers. And WeiWei has been doing a good job of matching Kanavi, certainly in game number 1. Felt like BLG completely answered everything JDG wanted to do. See if they can do it again, though. Already in the bottom lane, we have a bit of a scrap, as Chris does get a good answer onto missing and some damage onto Hope as well. So a fairly even trade. I'd even say BLG favored.
Then meanwhile, on the top side, we're seeing Breathe look for the trade. Not quite getting the vital proc, but will get control of the wave. So nothing too surprising so far in this laning phase. Jinx, Leona actually getting fired pretty early on, but obviously Aphelios, Nautilus helping WeiWei with his jumps there.
Yeah, starting that one off as WeiWei moves all the way up towards that top side, just finished off his wolves, and now he'll be continuing to clear. And it's very likely we just see a full clear from both of these junglers, especially with Graves in the game. It feels like Viego has that freedom to go for the full clear, especially with Breathe already being basically underneath the tower against 369. Realistically, it's going to be tough to find a gank there, unless they want to go for some kind of dive, but I feel like that'd be quite risky this early in the game without too much of a wave to work with.
And Sion, despite it being a little bit of an odd counter pick and not doing particularly well into Fiora, it's still particularly difficult to dive, right? You have your Q and your E for wave thinning. So overall, shouldn't be under too much threat, though he is being taken fairly low overall with enemy jungler being on the top side, so could be a little bit of a scarier situation than I'm letting on.
Yeah, Breathe doing a really good job of finding those grass procs as well, waiting for the shield to go down before jumping in with a Q. And then we'll be able to build himself a CS lead. Flame Choppers down in the bottom side, but they will not connect. And a cute little Yumi emote comes out from Crisp as Doggo takes a couple of bonus hits on the backside of the fight from Hope. Breathe actually being forced out on this top side, somehow losing out on these trades, somehow down a level because that wave kind of stacked up in 369's favor. We'll start to push in towards Breathe.
Wave control isn't really what Fiora is known for, as Kanavi looks for this engage.
Yeah, looking down in this bottom side, Crisp is not afraid though, posturing very aggressively. Vitals in the top lane, 369. Big trouble here if Breathe can find another Vital, but won't quite be able to find it for the time being. 369 lives another day.
If I sounded skeptical about the bot play,
it's because you were 3v3 in the bottom side here. Rehook from Crisp. And it's going to be Crisp rewarded with first blood on this one. Hope has to flash at the end of the play. And BLG finding laning advantages. More advantages in this top side as Breathe continues to bully 369, denying so much CS away from him. 369 getting his just desserts after what he did to Breathe on the Lucian last game.
Yeah, and I feel like we can use that line if this series continued in perpetuity, where the red side top laner are just really making the counter pick work. Meanwhile, I think we're going to get a replay of this bot skirmish. Initially, Kanavi was the one who was looking for a dive, but shouldn't really work against a full HP Aphelios and Nautilus, and then they just kind of hang out in the bot lane, sort of try to look like they're backing, take it, very common in bot lane. Enemy team walks up and their jungle's laying in wait, but BLG's jungler makes it.
Beautifully done. Oh, stun up in the top side. She didn't get the stun, but flashing for a vital. Breathe really wants this kill if he can get it. More vitals being proc. 369 trying to get underneath his tower. Still has his flash available. Breathe, I think he's gone too far for this one. I was very surprised to see such an early flash out from Breathe in that attempt.
I think no Q doesn't really connect, so ends up getting away with it. Realistically, unless 369 gets a Q knockup, there's not a lot of CC to counter, so Fiora could just play really, really aggressively. I think the flash was just to guarantee that there was no punishment.
Yeah, nice to see you missing there, just holding the wave. Not looking for a freeze. Oh. Kanavi just assuming the Krugs are there. Qs for the Krugs. Realizes after that there's a recall. FoFo with a shockwave onto Yagao. Crisp is here though. Hook does land. FoFo should be able to finish this damage off. Yagao flashes away. FoFo has a splash available as Kanavi getting damage onto Crisp. It will just be disengaged. Breathe is here. Has the ultimate available. Grand challenge comes on through. Kanavi flashes out to safety and gets himself out of there.
We had a rogue roaming Fiora. You don't see those very often, but usually because top wave management isn't her easiest suit, but she does connect, and both basically they prevent carnage, they prevent kills from going over to either side.
Yeah, good stuff by Breathe to try and force something, and at least got a flash out for Kanavi, right? So some benefit there. Drake is up onto the map here, and Herald will be up in a minute's time as well. So could get to the point where we start to see AD carries roaming up. Both Jinx and Aphelios very good at punishing if the other leaves that bottom lane. So Kelsey, I'm curious what you're expecting to see from the two teams over the course of the next 60 seconds, because I feel like things are going to start to speed up.
Yeah, things should start to speed up. Solin's coming away, having their level 6 available. I thought maybe we might get 369 threatening an ulti if they wanted to set up that dragon, but looks like he just uses fake pressure, walks back up, and catches his wave. I don't know if necessarily JDG really wants to fight at this time, because you have Orianna, Sion can't really leave the lane. Viktor is not going to be as effective at this point in the game, generally speaking. I mean, they're just gonna give away that dragon.
Yep, so it will be Drake to BLG here, and Breathe massive pressure up in this top side once again, having such a great matchup, having a 20 CS lead at this point. And it does mean priority in that top lane for Breathe should make it difficult for Kanavi to answer with a Rift Herald, but he's going to move up, try and make a play happen onto Breathe instead. There's the knock up, there's a smoke bomb for the slow as well. Breathe, no flash, remember, he went too aggressive earlier on. Oh, great riposte though to stop the stun on the knock up. Really nicely done by Breathe, will survive the play.
That's one of those things that makes Fiora vulnerable, is just, as I mentioned before, her wave clear isn't the greatest, right? So as she tries to get the wave in, there's usually a lot of opportunities to gank onto her, and I don't think we're going to see any exciting action in the bot lane, just hope clearing the wave.
WeiWei is here.
Maybe contest on this Rift Herald. I think because Breathe was force back, shouldn't realistically be something that happens, but
it's almost here.
Get here in time.
Yeah, Crisp has moved over as well. Crisp is in the mid lane currently, as it's going to be the smite coming out from WeiWei, and BLG actually get it. They don't even have to fight for it. Just posturing aggressively. They will grab themselves that Herald.
I think there was just a little bit of uncertainty out of JDG in terms of what members were actually there, because Crisp wasn't really showing in the bot lane who's on his way. Maybe they didn't exactly time when they thought Breathe would be able to come back to fight, so they don't just commit to securing it 2v1. A little bit understandable.
369 losing some tower plates now. Breathe completely ignoring him as he tries to farm underneath the tower. Breathe is just hammering away, already with a Sheen and a Phage. It's a terrifying situation to be in as the Sion, because the thing is, this early game, this has been the easy part of the Fiora Sion matchup. This does not get any better for 369. It only gets worse. Breathe is going to have a lot of kill threat later on into this lane, so 369 has to do a good job of farming up while he can, or it's only going to get worse. It's already almost 1,000 gold lead in favor of Breathe up in that top side.
He's going to try to itemize the Warden's Veil. Try to maybe come out with hard. Limit the auto attacks that BLG is going to get off, but it's not going to be that effective. Fiora's definitely just going to continue hammering away on the Sion. Already up 20 gold, but importantly, BLG moving through mid first. Going this vision. Maybe they're looking to deny Hope a bit on the bot side.
Kanavi a little bit as well as Hope forced away here. Doggo just getting another plate for himself. Chris taking a few chunks there, but I don't think it's going to matter too much as Doggo slamming away on this tower. Herald going to be dropped, and that will be the first tower of the game taken by BLG. So winning the top side, winning the bottom side at the same time, and just an easy control match of the mid lane, which FoFo, once again, managing to win. This is what we know FoFo for, just sitting in that mid lane, consistently winning on the CSD. Another charge in the bottom side as BLG have complete control of the game. 1 minute and 30 until that Drake comes up. But honestly, if it just continues like this, if the quiet game continues, it's practically in the bag for BLG.
And we're seeing the impact of this counter pick off, right? Just a little bit of pressure from the jungle, not overly too much. Fiora just manages to get to a point where she can comfortably get her wave in on her own, and then they can start shifting map pressure to the bot side. So this is how they're able to basically win 2 lanes by using the pressure, using the vision, having the enemy team retake, and then shifting over to control the other side of the map as well.
Yeah, it's so beautiful to see as well. Like, I know I sort of have a reputation for complaining about lack of action in the game, but it's always great to see really great macro as well. Chris, oh, the flash! Very nicely done, sir. Doggo takes a rocket to the face, which I'm a little bit surprised to see, but either way, nicely done by Crisp to escape that one. I thought he was going to go down for sure.
See, a lot of people might criticize Crisp there, but I think as a support, like the best supports are always kind of playing on the edge of when it's safe to get vision, right? You know that Breathe is going to be ahead in this lane, so from that perspective, maybe you can walk in and make something happen, get some wards down before the jungle is on top side, but didn't quite time it right.
Breathe, great little riposte there, and now with Crisp alongside him, he's happy to try and go for this play. The zap goes wide of Breathe, hits onto Crisp. Grand Challenge out onto Missing.
Nice.
He's low HP. The knockup is going to come on through. Can they finish off the Grand Challenge? That's the healing now coming on through. Is Breathe over the wall? Crisp has a stopwatch. That's the Moonlight Vigil, but the Shockwave Whip. Yagao held close as Breathe is chasing people down and cutting them to pieces. This is a fencing master, and Kanavi, your shotgun isn't going to work. The riposte. Oh, well, yeah, it's going to work. The collateral damage just blows Breathe a new one. And now 369 following up. Crisp, level 1 HP and a flash forwards. The knockup is actually going to land onto FoFo there. But Doggo joins the fray with a Gale Force, and it's Crisp to go down. Instead, Doggo blocking the rocket as well and will shred through this Sion. And even though Breathe went down, BLG still win the play.
And even though Crisp had the flash out, went in, didn't quite get any wards down, he still got vision because he knew exactly what JDG were planning there, right? So he stays and hovers around topside, knows that there's going to be a dive or a playmate on Breathe. Breathe gets so many good repositions playing that Fiora, using the Q proactively. Very smart riposte, as you pointed out, to start this out as well. Manages to dodge, sidestep the Leona ultimate, and then they're just buying so much time. That was such a key vital proc on the Grand Challenge also, as you mentioned, the healing coming out here, and then this Orianna ultimate manages to get the last flash after the other 2 flashes come through for the Moonlight Vigil, and then just Breathe. It's a slightly making a mechanical misplay here, but that's okay. The rest of his team is here to clean up the fight.
Yeah, just a little overzealous from Breathe on that one. Ultimately, Doesn't end up mattering. And in the meantime, we have a split push Viego on the bottom side. It's not often that you see a split push jungle Viego on the bottom side of the map, but WeiWei managed to grab a tier 2 for his team off the back of the play. So very nicely done here by BLG. Winning out mechanically, winning out in terms of the matchups, winning out in terms of the macro as well. Is there anything they can't win is the only question at this point. 5-1 on the scoreboard and a 6,000 gold lead. 2 Drakes in their favor. And now a Herald is going to go their way as well. It just feels like absolutely everything looks.
Yeah, including all of these lanes of farm. And this is one thing that when we talked about how they have a tendency to greed for extra wave here or there, they are still optimizing, making sure that none of these waves are more or less going to waste. None of these waves are going to die to tower. So when they stay ahead on top side by making all these plays happen, WeiWei is making sure he gets the farm so that they can maintain this really, really heavy window.
Missing's gone way further in on this one than he actually wanted to. Pulled with the Zenith blade, WeiWei behind enemy lines, diving onto 2 of them. Not got the damage to actually make that happen. A little overzealous there. It's going to be 1-for-1 in the end. And in the meantime, we've got another split push jungler in the bottom lane. Kanavi gets a tower there. Charges to tier 2. Doggo's in the wrong place, though. Flashes away. And now a Moonlight Vigil. It was all a bait. He just had to look juicy. And he always does. It's going to be a tier 1 going down in this mid lane. Sorry. The tier 2 in the top side. The tier 2 already gone in that bottom lane. BLG now on 5 towers as Kanavi desperately tries to answer in the side lane, but Doggo's done it again. No, doesn't quite get it. The red buff not enough onto 369.
And I'm very excited about, generally speaking, like WeiWei push that wave all the way out so that they can get that deep vision, so that they can get that T2 gold onto Fiora, which I think was the biggest win of that entire exchange, even though there was so much action happening in the mid lane. And I don't know about you, Munchables, but I think Kanavi and WeiWei are on to something. But pushing jungle definitely could be a trend going forward.
I mean, it's working this game, so that's enough of a sample size for me at very least. But I'm a play-by-play. It doesn't really matter what I do. Missing, unfortunately, getting pulled away along with the dredge line, and then
Zealous here.
Yeah. Doing a breed, I believe we call that.
Maybe if that had connected onto the Jinx, he would have get the reset. And it would have been fine. We would have been saying different things about that play, but as it was, ended up being like one of those lower percentage plays that he felt compelled to go for. Didn't quite pan out.
Yep, the power of Christ compelled him. He is Viego, King of the Undead, so seems very apt, but unfortunately not for him. But I will say, it's kind of surprising when you look at the scoreboard right now, because first off, FoFo, really good kill participation. Exciting to see that continue throughout this series. But so much of this game, so much of this series has been focused on that top lane and on the Breathe versus 369 matchup. And yes, he's got a good CS lead, but score-wise, it's actually not that impressive right now. But when you look at the AD carries, right, Doggo has swept up so much of this gold over the last few fights. Already has an LDR finished, as well as that Gale Force at 18 minutes. This Aphelios is way ahead of the curve when it comes to scaling on up. Dragon started now by BLG. JDG look like they want to contest this one, grouping up as 5. RBLG, Kanavi in, looking for the steal, can't find it as WeiWei gets the smite. Kanavi back out the other side of the pit. BLG don't need to fight this one, but they might have to go for it anyway. Double knockup with the depth charge. There's Moonlight Vigil onto Missing. Not quite enough, really. BLG, though, they get away with the Drake. They're happy with that one.
Yeah, now they are on soul point, so at least in the next 5 minutes, they're going to be able to command a map decision from JDG. So going to keep a lookout for that one. As you were saying, so much of this game has been around top lane, so them being able to still have a very strong AD carry coming through in that fight, even though Doggo didn't quite get the Moonlight Vigil off. But just imagine how much more BLG could have gotten if it had connected with one of those pushier targets.
Yeah, exactly. If they'd managed to get that Moonlight Vigil on, I mean, the gold difference would just explode in this one. It's already pretty dramatic, but yeah, I think that might even be just the end of the game for JDG. Not literally, but, you know, the end of the point where it's possible to come back. Because JDG now, what is that? 7,000 gold down? I don't know why I'm struggling with that one. It was literally 37 exactly versus 30 exactly. But Breathe has found 369 its bomb side. Won't commit to the play, though.
I think this is something that we can talk about in this series. Is the impact of having a strong matchup, two side lane matchups that are winning. If you're timing the jungle clear, right, you'll know exactly what side the jungle is on at a given time. You typically know, as a jungler, what each of the different champions, like how long it takes them to clear camps, when they'll be done with their clear, what side of the map they'll be on based on those things. They like to recall like around 3:30 to 4 minutes, right? So they'll be on the opposite side of the map at that. You can have those timings down. So if you're able to manage your wave properly, having two pushing side lanes, get one in, you're in a position when you know the jungler is heading to your side of the lane, right? The enemy jungler. So then you're going to be safe while your jungler makes a counterplay or trade play, and you don't have any trade play available. And that's what we're seeing a lot with these red side picks, as the supports go to war over vision with the top laners.
Crisp is an absolute chad. Like, just walking up trying to protect his control ward. There was literally the whole team of JDG there. Crisp was totally alone, and he still commits to trying to protect that ward. Like, there are very few supports that would be so bold. Also, I'm kind of surprised that JDG didn't punish him harder for that one, but maybe suspecting he had the rest of BLG alongside him. Baron is up on the map, though. We're 21 minutes in. We've seen that early Barons can be taken, and look at that. Ult comes out from Hope because they're suspecting exactly what I was just suggesting, that BLG might be doing something cheeky.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of the supports playing on the edge of what's acceptable in terms of what you can get vision. So a little bit coming out for Chris, but that information is constantly giving BLG opportunities because they know, because of how Crisp is positioning, how many members are on that bot side for JDG, and the fact that they can just walk in a top side.
Okay, Doggo went insane. He lost his mind for a second there. Gale forces into the enemy team. Shockwave though from FoFo answers. Support down, but without an AD carry, without Shockwave, I'm not sure BLG can win this fight. This is a huge opportunity for BLG as Hope gets excited. Looks for a bit of a chase down. The zap on Breathe will not be enough. But look, JDG could just start this Baron off. No carries alive for BLG aside from this Fiora, who doesn't want a team fight in the first place. And now Crisp and Breathe trying to contest. WeiWei, for some reason, is on his crooks right now. Needs to get on over here and look for a steal. We need a miracle from JDG. In they go, into the pit, looking for the 50-50, and WeiWei gets it. BLG ruined JDG's hopes, and they tear them apart in the pit as well. Breathe grabbing some kills for himself, looking to deny the recalls on top of everything else. Double kill comes through for WeiWei. It is too beautiful from the BLG jungler.
And you might say that Doggo had lost his mind there, Munchables, but really, he saw it all planning out. He smelled the opportunity. If he gets caught out here, we could bait them into a Baron. No, I don't actually think that that's what happened, but BLG have the flank set up, see the opportunity, right? They're just keeping them trapped in this pit here. Breathe getting a little bit of poke off with the vitals, and then WeiWei has an opportunity because there's no wards over the wall and just manages to take this Baron down. Oh, Breathe just doing so much damage though, and so is WeiWei here. Wow, just how fed are these two members, by the way?
Yeah, it's kind of insane. Speaking of which, Breathe go for a 2v1 on the top side. Kanavi just kicked out of the play completely.
And they just picked up Mountain Soul.
Yep.
Wow.
In the replay, grabbing a Drake for themselves. 10,000 gold lead in favor of BLG, and now with the Baron as well. We saw how immaculate BLG were with the Baron in game number 1 of this series. They looked so good. They were so good at syncing up those waves as well, which JDG couldn't really replicate in game number 2.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing it here, right? Breathe slowly pushing this in, waiting for the next wave to come in on the mid side. So someone's going to answer here, and just as this wave kind of crashes mid, they have resources to catch those up. Ideally, right, after this push, they have someone maybe fog into bot side, right? But we'll see if they can get this mid T2 down first.
Let's see, Breathe trying to play it slow on that top side while they wait for the mid wave. BLG still staying grouped here in the mid lane. JDG desperately trying to defend this tower. I'm not sure how defendable it is with FoFo having the shockwave, but potentially an engage here. Keep your eyes on that Orianna ball. Missing, forced away 369, low on HP as well as Breathe goes forward. Hook in from Chris, but he backs away immediately. And off to the side, WeiWei is bullying 369. Junglers are not meant to be upper level on top laners. That's not meant to be how League of Legends works. But 369 is 3 levels down in the side lane, and it is hurting JDG so badly.
That blind pick Sion not necessarily working out here, right? Not creating the front to back win condition. Win this game has been about Thailand, but
here we go. Dive in the towers. That's one kill onto Kanavi already. 369 trying to escape, but the shockwave finishes him off too. Crisp somehow getting out with his life. Goes back in anyway. And still somehow survives. BLG with 3 more kills. They've got a wave at the top side, but they've also got to breathe down in the bottom lane. Just annihilating in-hip towers. This is Fiora's bread and butter. This is what she does best. And Breathe knows it as he hammers away on the in-hip and opens up the rest of the map for the rest of BLG to push on in. Doggo gets down in the mid lane. That's going to be 2 in-hip towers, 1 in-hip taken. And BLG extend their lead even further. It's more than a 10k gold lead as Hope almost gets one shot.
Just like we talked about, the key thing there, I think, was Breathe getting the top wave in just outside the turret and then seeing Yagao drop Gravity Field E to clear that wave and zoning him out, looking and threatening the dive on the mid turret. But we'll definitely get kind of a replay here of that. All right. 369 not really achieving anything with that ultimate, unfortunately. Ooh.
Bit of a disaster.
I remember when he was on Top Esports, there being a bit of a joke about him playing Ornn, right? So it's usually not quite good. I'm getting a few vibes from that, just in terms of his ability to find in the engages, but I'm not quite sure how fair that is, since he was kind of knocked out of the game in anything.
Yeah. I will say, I remember a lot of people kind of making fun of his Sion back in the day. And I was going to bring it up during Champion Select, but that felt a little bit mean. But now that we're 26 minutes into the game, 27 minutes in, and we're seeing it live, I feel like we can bring that topic up again. This Sion not looking good for 369. And yes, he's in the kind of matchup, but unfortunately on that one.
It's definitely something that you can address, right? Because we felt like JDG were really playing into the strengths of their lineup, especially in Game 2, seeing that counter pick come through, but then just completely change the game plan. Go for Sion in Game 3. Feels a little bit, kind of takes some of the wind out of the sails of the matchup that we were so excited to watch, right?
The weird thing as well is they have a Graves in their team. They could have given 369 Graves top line, which is perfectly fine. Like, obviously there are some counter picks, but I'd say it's better than blind Sion at this point, especially against Breathe, who loves the Fiora. We know him as a Fiora player already. It's definitely a toughie for 369 as BLG slowly but surely just pushing this one home. Crisp goes to the engage, shields across the team. Look at that knock up from Crisp as well across everybody. Breathe dives in, and it's just going to be cleaning house for JDG. BLG just wiping the floor with them. 369, the last one to fall, but fall he will. And BLG managing to maintain form here, the favorites in the series, and showing us what that means with a dominant Game 3.
And I remember at the start of the season, Munchables, so many members of the LPL broadcast team had BLG #1 in their power ranking. So seeing them more towards the middle of the standings was a big surprise. We were constantly asking, when are they going to show us why they're rated so highly? When are they going to clean up a lot of these kind of map grades around the board and show some cleaner games, show more dimension than just playing heavy around bot every single game? I think we saw hints of that here. I'm not quite ready